It's just a game, right? That's what everyone says. Pokémon Go. You walk around, you catch cute little monsters on your phone. It's simple. It brings people outside. It makes you explore the world around you, see things you never noticed before. But there's another side to it. A side that comes out when the sun goes down. The park was huge, and it was completely dark. The city closed it after sunset. A rare dragonair had spawned near the old fountain. My friend Jake and I couldn't resist. We found a gap in the fence and slipped through. The air was cold, footsteps loud on gravel. Only the phones gave light. My avatar's blue circle moved slowly on the map. We felt like the only two people left. Then Jake stopped. He lowered his phone. He stared at something behind me. There was someone there, standing by the tree, just watching us. Later, I checked my phone and saw another player's avatar, a gray silhouette with no name. It blinked and vanished. Pokémon gyms are strange places. Digital battlegrounds layered over real-world locations, a church, a post office, a mural on a wall. There was a gym at a small, old statue in a forgotten corner of a cemetery. The statue was a weeping angel. Creepy even in daytime, at night it was something else. I took the gym and hid behind a tombstone to watch. 10 minutes, 15. Then my phone buzzed. Silent Watcher 7 was attacking the gym. I looked up. Nothing. Only wind. And then a whisper. It turned out to be a small speaker hidden in the bushes, looped with soft whispering. And my phone showed the gym, now theirs. I left the cemetery that night and I never went back. An old boarded-up hospital on the edge of town, massive, decaying. People said it was haunted. Of course they did. Around midnight, someone dropped a lure on the Pokestop there. Pink petals swirled on my map. I parked across the street and watched. No other cars, no people. I caught Pidgeys, Rattatas, nothing special. I was bored and a little spooked. Then a ghastly popped up on my screen. I got out to get a better look. I focused on the ghastly and caught it. Then I looked up. A small flickering light in a top-floor window moved slowly. Then it went out. My blood ran cold. I locked the doors and drove away as fast as I could. I kept wondering, who was in that building? Were they watching me? The game's core loop makes you predictable. It creates patterns. 2 kilometers, 5, 10. Each egg is a promise demanding a specific distance. You find the most efficient route and walk it over and over. You're not just taking a stroll. You're grinding, focused on a digital avatar, oblivious to the real world unfolding just beyond the screen. My chosen path was perfect for a 10K egg, a long, straight stretch next to an abandoned railway. Unlit, away from traffic, ideal for the game. For 3 nights in a row, I walked it without incident. Just me, my phone, and the rhythmic crunch of gravel. The darkness felt like a private world, a bubble where I thought I was safe. Head down, watching the numbers climb, you're in your own world. But on the 4th night, that bubble felt thin. Something was different. A cold spot in the mild night. Then came the prickle on the back of my neck. It wasn't a random chill. It was that primal alarm bell, the unmistakable feeling of being watched. A sharp crunch of gravel behind me cut through my music. It was distinct, close, too close. I tore out my headphones and spun around. The sudden silence was deafening. The path looked empty, but my gaze fell to the ground. There, just feet away, was a single, fresh footprint in the gravel. Not mine. They had been right behind me. I was paralyzed for a moment. Then adrenaline hit, and I ran. I sprinted without looking back, my own footsteps frantic, convinced I could hear another set of steps just behind me. I didn't stop until the orange glow of the main street washed over me, my lungs burning. I stood gasping under a streetlight, looking back into the dark path. I never walked it at night again. The egg did hatch later. I don't remember what it was. The prize felt meaningless, tainted by the terror. A thought lodged itself in my mind that still chills me. What if they weren't another player? What if they weren't interested in the egg at all? Maybe they were just watching me, learning my pattern, waiting. You learn to look up from the screen and remember you're never truly alone in the dark. Glitches happen in the game. GPS jitter, app freeze, we all expect it. One night my phone buzzed. A Snorlax was blocking the road ahead on my map. I chuckled, then looked up. My headlights hit a motionless figure in the lane. The person was standing in my lane, and on my map, the Snorlax matched their exact spot. I slammed the brakes. My hands shook. They didn't move or look at me. Then they turned and walked into the woods without looking back. The Snorlax vanished from my screen. Coincidence? Or a warning the game gave me? I don't know. I just drove on. But I remember the match between map and reality. In a game like this, you're surrounded by digital ghosts, avatars gliding across your screen, Usernames you start to recognize. CoolCat42, Dragon Tamer X. You build entire personas for them, silent companions in a city of pixels. But one was different, a name that felt less like a player and more like a statement. I know. This one username was everywhere in my town. High level, unnervingly persistent. Their presence was a cold spot on the map, a constant whisper that seemed to say, I know where you are. If I took a gym, I know would retake it within minutes. It didn't matter if it was 2 p.m. on a busy street or 3 a.m. in a deserted park. The notification would pop up before I'd even put my phone away. It felt less like a rivalry and more like I was being watched. My paranoia grew until I had to know. I drove to a remote hiking trail, to a gym hidden in the woods, and posted a public challenge to a local group. Anyone want to battle? I'm here now. The gym remained untouched. Then my phone buzzed. A private message from a user I didn't recognize. No text, just an image. It was a photo of me from behind, my back to the camera as I stared at my phone. It was taken from further up the trail, partially obscured by leaves. The timestamp was from less than a minute ago. Before I could process it, the account that sent it deleted itself. The user simply vanished. My blood ran cold. Digital trail, real footsteps. I spun around, scanning the woods, but saw nothing. Just the wind and the sickening feeling of being observed. Online, it felt personal. Offline, it felt like someone knew my moves. I walked quickly back to my car and I stopped testing the boundaries after that. Some players you never meet, but you learn in the most terrifying way that they know you. On the edge of town stood a decrepit Victorian house, empty for decades. Locals whispered stories about it, a family vanishing, strange noises in the night. For players, it was a gold mine, a notorious hotspot for ghost-type Pokémon. It was a place of legend, both in the real world and in the game. You could stand across the street and your phone would light up with Misdreavus, Shuppet, even the occasional Gengar. But everyone knew the unspoken rule. You catch from a distance. No one ever crossed the street. The house had its own personal space, and we were just visitors, peering in from the safety of the sidewalk. So there I was one night, under the hum of a lone streetlight. That circle of light felt like a shield. I was completely absorbed, tapping and swiping, the world outside my phone fading away. For a while, it was just me and the game. I felt completely safe, oblivious to the house looming in the darkness just beyond my pool of light. After about 20 minutes, I looked up. In a second-floor window, a light had turned on. Not a flicker, but a steady, warm, yellow glow. It looked almost inviting. But this house was supposed to be abandoned, without power for decades. My heart started to pound, the game forgotten. My first thought was disbelief. I had to get proof. I lifted my phone, switching to the camera and zooming in. The digital zoom was grainy, struggling to focus. Then, for a single, heart-stopping second, the image sharpened. A shape resolved itself from the murky pixels. It was a face, pale, featureless, and framed perfectly in the window, looking directly down at me. The instant I saw it, the light went out, plunging the window into darkness. My hands were shaking as I opened my photo gallery. The picture was blurry, but I could still see it, a dark, smudged shape of a head and shoulders. My mind raced for an explanation, a reflection, a squatter, but the way it had looked at me felt intentional. I turned and walked away, a cold dread creeping up my spine. That photo is still on my phone. Sometimes I zoom in trying to pull a clear image from the blur, but it's useless. You can't explain it, but you can't forget the feeling of being watched by something that shouldn't be there. I never went back. Some ghost stories are just stories, but sometimes when you go looking for ghosts, you find one looking back. Community days bring players out in droves. It's communal and loud, but one night I found a crowd that was none of that. Late, silent, strange. A dozen people stood in a loose circle under a flickering lamp, all motionless, phones glowing, blank faces, screens up, no talking, no movement. I checked my game, no raid, no rare, just Zubats and Magnemites. I felt like an intruder. I parked and tried to blend in, holding my phone up. Then all at once, their screens went dark. They turned, walked away into the night, without a word. They never spoke. They never looked at each other. The silence stayed with me. It felt programmed. People synchronized like puppets controlled by something unseen. I left wondering what they'd been waiting for, if anything at all. Pokémon Go doesn't just show a digital world. It changes how you see your own. It gives you a reason to go places you'd otherwise ignore. A forgotten statue, an empty park at midnight, a dead-end street. The map is just a key. But the real world has things that don't appear on any overlay. Next time you chase a rare at 2 a.m., pause and look up. You never know who or what might be watching you play. The game offers rewards, but it can lead you to places meant to stay hidden. Is it just a game or is it a key? Look up once in a while, stay aware, stay alive.